Alright, so let's talk about the horizontal distance between 2 points. Okay, y'all, we're going to talk about distance, and one thing to remember with distance is it is always, always positive. Okay, think of it like this. If you ask for directions, do you ever tell someone to drive -2 miles? No. Okay, so distance is always going to be positive. Okay, so when you're dealing with horizontal distance, one way you can do it is just by counting the units between the 2 points. Okay, so from A to B, okay, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4 units. Pretty simple. Okay, so now I want to use a simple mathematical operation, okay, that's going to tell us the distance without having to count. Okay, because some of these distances may be very, very large, and it's not going to be so simple to count 4 units. Okay, so the formula we're going to follow is, okay, we're going to do absolute value, okay, because remember, distance is always positive, okay, and so because the x-axis is horizontal, okay, then we're going to use the x-coordinates of each point, okay, so we're going to use x2 minus x1, okay, so that's going to be our simple formula. Okay, so remember, if you're doing horizontal distance, we use the x-axis is horizontal, so we're going to use the x-coordinates. Alright, so let's look at the first one. We have the distance between A and B. Okay, so we're looking at the x-coordinates. So we have 2 and -2. Okay, so we're going to do absolute value of 2 minus -2. Okay, that's going to be equal to 4. Okay, which is what we had already found out. Okay, the next one, we're going to go AC. Okay, so from A to C, okay, y'all, we're still doing horizontal distance, so we're still going to use those x coordinates. So absolute value of 2 minus 2, that's 0. Okay, which that makes sense because they're directly above each other. Okay. Alright, next one, we're going to do the horizontal distance between points A and D. Okay. Now we're looking at the horizontal distance. Okay, so we want to know, I always think of it as like a road. Okay, so if I was at point A and I needed to get to point D and I could only move vertically and horizontally as on a road, okay, I would have to go to B and then turn and go up to D. Okay, so we're going to look at the horizontal distance here, which is probably going to be the same as AB. Okay, so again, x-coordinate, x-coordinate, absolute value 2 minus a -2, that equals 4, which is exactly what we found for AB. Okay, y'all, let's talk about vertical distance. Okay, so remember, distance is always positive, so because the y-axis is vertical, then we're going to use the y-coordinate of each point this time. Okay, so we're going to start off same thing, absolute value. This time we're going to have y2 minus y1. Okay, so the first one, we're going to do vertical. So between A and B, we want to know what the vertical is. So looking at the y-coordinates this time, absolute value of -2 minus a -2. Okay, that's going to give us 0. Okay, which makes sense because there is no vertical distance between them. They're on the same horizontal line. Okay, let's find the vertical distance between A and C. Okay. Okay, so we're looking at y-coordinates, absolute value, -2 minus 4. That's going to give us -6, and the absolute value of -6 is 6. Okay, now if you want to double check that, you can by simply counting. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and we can use the counting method on this one because of that vertical distance being on the same line or the same axis. All right, last one. So we have A to D this time. Okay, so same thing as prior. I always think of it as like you're on a road and you need to get from point A to D, and you just can't fly straight to it, so you have to follow on the road. So we have to go to the left and then turn to go up. So we're wanting to know what that vertical distance is that we'd have to travel. Okay, y coordinates again. So we have -2 minus 2 is equal to a -4. Absolute value is 4. Okay, and that's going to be that distance there. Okay, this is going to come in real handy when you're doing Pythagorean theorem and finding the distance between 2 points. Okay, so make sure you remember x-axis is horizontal, so we use x coordinates to find horizontal distance. Y-axis is vertical, so we use the y coordinates to find that vertical distance.